Welcome to today's episode of the Curiosity and Consciousness podcast with me, Karen Maloney. Today's guest is a lady known as Estelle, who's an intuitive spiritual teacher. And in the world of spiritual development, she is widely known as the Energy Uplifter, helping hundreds of thousands of people from all around the world to uplift their energy and raise their vibration and consciousness. I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. I first came across Estelle on her hugely popular YouTube channel where she's over 200,000 subscribers. And on her channel, she gives weekly messages using tarot and using messages from her angels and guides. And she describes tarot as a divination tool that can help you communicate with that higher consciousness. So sit back, relax, open your mind, enjoy the conversation, and be sure to stay tuned until the end when Estelle gives us some amazing parting wisdom. So welcome everybody. I'm delighted you're all joining us today. And today I have Estelle joining me, who is an intuitive spiritual teacher. So you're very welcome, Estelle. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm very excited to talk to you today because like that, I came across you last year sometime. I think it was towards the end of summer, your weekly readings on YouTube, and I've just found them so powerful, and I just connected so much to them and kind of their messages and that, and I just loved your energy and everything about you. So I was delighted to get the chance to talk to you, but we'll get into all that as well in a little bit. But first of all, for the listeners, why don't you just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe some of your background, kind of where or how you kind of came to this work, I suppose.
Absolutely. Yes. Well, I'll try and put it in a nutshell. I guess, let me just share with you why I feel that I'm here. I suppose my mission, if you like.
Great.
I'm absolutely passionate about helping people raise their energy, lift their vibration, raise that up, sort of raise their consciousness, if you like.
Yeah.
And so I've always had that deep, deep, deep within me. But through my life, I've never known really how it's going to unfold, how I'm going to bring it into the world, what I'm going to do. I just didn't know how it was going to happen. And to be quite honest, Karen, for many, many years, I was frightened of it. I was scared of all of the intuitive stuff and the psychic and the empathetic side of me. I was scared of it. So for many years, I ran away from it.
Yeah.
I did all sorts of things. My background, I've done beauty therapy and teaching in further and adult education. I did various different temporary jobs, and I kind of settled in the corporate world, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I settled there and I stayed there for quite a while. And because of my teaching background, I found myself in a sort of a training, development, coaching role. And I did that for many, many years. But there was a time, really it wasn't me. This was me hiding who I truly was. Mm-hmm. And there's a point, I think, in everyone's life where they say enough is enough. And I reached that point in the corporate world, and I just thought, I don't think I can do this anymore. So I grabbed the redundancy that was being offered to me, and I set up my own training and development company. Did that going around the world for a number of years. And that was the turning point for me. That was the place where I really thought, well, hang on a minute, I've got some headspace, I've got some time here, I've got some freedom. And I started to dip my toes slowly but surely into all the soulful stuff and the energetic stuff. And I trained in different healing modalities, and that was when it really shifted around for me.
Wow. That's incredible. And, I love the fact that, that you said you were terrified and it scared you, all this intuitive stuff and whatnot. And also, that your mission is kind of for that, those kind of connecting that higher vibration and consciousness, because that just really resonates with me as well on my path. And it is, fear is a real thing for everybody. We all have it every day, but it's, I suppose, finding that, that bigger picture, that resource within ourselves to kind of step forward and trust. And you said in your training and development company kind of really gave you, I suppose, maybe some of the faith or maybe trust in yourself, or maybe uncovered a little bit more of actually what you wanted to do. But how, I suppose, I know my journey's been pretty long. I feel like I've been 28 years in the last while, really, before coming to my true self. And that's why as well, when I connected in with your weekly readings, I just felt they were so powerful and like they were speaking directly to me, because there was such a transformation and energy shift going on. And where in your path did you kind of feel, that big shift was happening? And, and also, where did you get your trust and kind of faith to keep going? Was there any, you say you trained in different healing modalities, what were they, and did they help you as well?
Yeah, well, I mean, just going back, I suppose, to my path. So I had my own training and development company. It gave me lots of freedom, and I trained in that. And yes, that did build my confidence. I started to explore all of this spiritual, energetic stuff, and I started to think, hang on a minute, I can do this. This feels nice. I feel good. This feels right. This is touching my heart and soul. And there was a point with all of that where I really wanted to do more of that rather than the work, the training development side. And that's when there was another shift for me again. You talk about having a very long path. Oh my gosh, mine has been so long. Sometimes people have said to me, gosh, your success has happened so quickly. Or no, not really. I've been at it for 25 plus years.
Can appreciate that.
Yeah, it takes time. So and that's something else to point out. It doesn't always happen overnight, and it takes a lot of toing and froing and building and letting go of stuff and building other stuff up. But that was a real key moment for me, and I thought, do you know what? Now I cannot do this corporate stuff at all. Not even with my own company. Not even. Because I was still working for the big companies through my own company. And I just thought, I can't even do that. I can't do that. This other side of me was opening up. It was like awakening, if you like. Yeah. And I was just, no, I've got to come away from this totally and completely now. And I did. But then you might think, well, that was it. That was the moment. But no, I still ignored it.
Yeah.
And you know what? I still had the fear, because the whole thing about trust, you mentioned about trust, because I was thinking, I'm not going to be able to earn enough money. You can hear all of the limiting beliefs coming out. I'm not going to earn enough money from doing this spiritual healing, energetic stuff. Not many people will want it. I'm not good enough. I should have been doing it for years and years and years in order to be successful. So I had all of these blocks that were getting in the way. And so even though I closed down my business and I did some more healing I trained as a Reiki healer and a crystal healer and emotional kinesiology and all sorts of things. And I knew,
I'm sure, you can look back and each and every one of those healing modalities played their part.
They did, but they really honestly did. I knew that I didn't want to be a healer and work on customers and clients one-on-one, but I knew that those courses, those workshops I was going through, they were helping me learn, grow, evolve, raise my own vibration. But I was still overcome with fear, and I can't totally trust the universe. I can't totally let go. So I was doing all sorts of things, Karen. I was setting up online shops to sell crafts and handmade jewellery, and I was doing everything I could to avoid it.
Oh God, that sounds like me.
But I think it's like a lot of people. That's the thing. I want people to know it's okay to be frightened and fearful. But it was one particular project that brought me to my knees, and that was I got into property developing, and it was a case of buying the wrong plot of land at the wrong time for the wrong price. Everything was wrong about it, and all the warning lights were flashing, but I was still not surrendering.
Universe was trying to show you clearly, but still.
Absolutely. They were flashing all the red lights and they were getting in the way, and I was pushing through, and it just came to the point where everything that could go wrong with this, it was a new build we were doing. We were building a house to sell off. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. And as a result, I ended up in court, suing solicitors because of this, that and the other, and it was horrendous. And there was a point where I thought, I'm going to lose everything here. I'm going to lose our house. I'm going to take not only myself down financially, but my partner Tim, and also my parents, because they had loaned us some money. And I thought, I am going to just take everything down. We're going to lose our house. We're going to lose everything. And it was a very, very dreadful, painful, really painful 3 years. It was a 3-year nightmare, really. But there was one point in particular where I was on my office floor sobbing. Again, it was a regular occurrence. And I just said to the universe, I give up. I surrender. I can't do this anymore. I'm done. I'm throwing in the towel, and I have nothing to lose. So when I've cleared up this mess with the build, the property, I will do the spiritual, energetic work. I said enough is enough, and then that was the turning point. Although I've just got to add a little thing in there, Karen. Even though I said I give up, I surrender, I'm going to do this work, it still took me another 5 or so years to get my stuff and start to put it out there in the world in a big way on YouTube.
Wow, yeah. So that was, you started your YouTube like 5 or 6 years ago?
Well, no. This was, after I had my really bad moment of 3 years, it then took me another 5 years after that to really say, because in that 5 years, the universe kept giving me tarot and they kept giving me readings. But I was like, no, I don't think that's for me. I don't think that's... No.
Oh, I love it. We always, that brain, that thinking mind always thinks we know what's best, and
I was very much like, no, I know best, universe. Let me manage my life. I've got the idea, I've got the plan. Let me stick to my plan.
Yeah.
So no, in the end I did, and it was a couple of years ago. I totally surrendered, and I thought, you know what, whatever you want me to do, when you want me to do it, you let me know. I'll just keep talking to you, and you just guide me every step of the way. So
and then that's when, and obviously then, although you wanted to ignore it or think it wasn't for you, obviously tarot is huge. Like, that's what your YouTube channel really is. And I know you've started bringing in angel messages and, working with different guides and whatnot. But that's essentially, a huge component. And, again, because I can relate, I've had things blatantly in my face as well, nearly. And I was like, no, I don't think it's that. to only come full circle and be like, oh God, yeah.
Yeah. We think we know. I mean, I can laugh about it now, and I can see it for what it is now. Yeah. But they really did, for those, from the point where I was lying sobbing on the office floor, and then another 5 years, they were constantly giving me this idea about tarot, and I was constantly saying, no. And then when I eventually surrendered and I said, okay, that's fine, I'll try it. It has been the best thing ever. And I can totally and completely and utterly understand why the universe, whatever you want to call it, angels and guides, were giving that to me. Now, is that everything that I'm going to be doing and I'm about? Absolutely not. But was it the best first step on this path and journey? Oh, absolutely yes. It was more than I could ever have imagined or dreamed about. And I think that's the point. When this started really happening on YouTube for me with the tarot readings, I was constantly in awe of the universe, saying to them things like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I get it now. I understand what you were trying to do all those years ago, all that time ago. I get it now. Why didn't I listen to you? All of this. Yeah. And I would have never chosen tarot. I would have never chosen it. But the opening it's given me into some other things, and the opportunities and the possibilities and the growth and the chance for me to evolve has been like, it's been off the charts of what I had in terms of my own goals and how I thought it was going to play out.
I love it. That's absolutely fantastic. And I think for anyone who has kind of explored and started to tune in, I suppose, to the universe, or like you say, whether intuition, higher guidance, intelligence, whatever you want to call it, once you start tuning in, you kind of do gain this new level of comprehension and perspective. And you kind of, it's been my experience anyway, you can kind of take yourself out a bit, and you can kind of see, if you look back, how the dots have connected, and you're like, and definitely for me anyway, sense of humor comes in as well, where I'm like, here, like, seriously, this is so amazing. And, often it comes up that we just need to get out of our own way. We just need to get out of our own way. Like you say, to let go, to trust, which is a very difficult thing to do, because we are living in this, kind of having this physical experience with bills to pay and, traffic and all sorts of things to contend with. But certainly, I think once you start kind of, I suppose even like me as well in this podcast, I'm totally just trusting and showing up and what's coming up for me. And like you say as well, the idea of tarot, you would never have thought of it. I got the message years ago that my voice would be a tool. And I remember thinking, that is just insane, because I was the worst communicator in the world. I was like, never. This is just beyond crazy. How could this even possibly be? And, again, when you just kind of trust and go and explore and kind of follow what's showing up and the little bits, and next thing you know, and like that for me, the end of last year and the start of this year, I really just completely surrendered. I felt like I just downed all tools, because I'm like, I was exhausted, like you a bit, trying every different avenue. I kind of knew where I wanted to go in the end, but I had to go through something to get there. But I was trying to go over it and around it and under it and kind of avoid it in one sense. And that's not the way it goes. You have to kind of go through the steps as well, and kind of build on awareness and kind of practices and things like that as well. For you, because obviously you're saying, this has been a long process and it's been ongoing for a long time. I can imagine, for the most part, internally, while you were kind of, doing all the other jobs and kind of functioning on the outside in society, ticking all the boxes, when you finally did come to say, okay, this is me, I work in the, spiritual development, I'm an intuitive healer, whatever, words resonate, what did kind of family and friends and people around you, think? Did it line up? Did they know kind of that's what you were into all along? Or was it very much like, oh, kind of where did this come from?
Yeah, no, I mean, there was no doubt that most people that are close to me knew this about me. This has always been sort of deep in my heart and soul. So I think friends, family members, there was no surprise. Yeah. And to be quite honest, it felt, when I started to explore that which was deep within me and started to bring it out and acknowledge it and accept it and recognize it and grow it and evolve it and everything, and it still does now, it just feels so strong that I almost don't really care what other people think. Yeah. And I've always felt that way for quite a long time, that this is me, this is who I am. If you don't like it, if it doesn't resonate, that's fine. You don't have to connect with me or be in my life or be in my world. So and that's just strengthened, I think, over the recent years, getting more and more into this. I've just really strengthened this, and this is, this is my life, this is my mission, this is my purpose, this is who I am. I don't work for everyone, not everyone will like me or get me or resonate with me, and that's perfect and that's beautiful. But, I need to be true to me, to my heart and soul. It needs to always feel right for me. And when it doesn't now, you can really notice the difference. So no, I don't think people were surprised, but I'm quite strong. I'm quite firm on that. If you don't like it, that's fine. You don't have to watch my videos. You don't have to be around me. That's absolutely fine.
Absolutely. And, I think it's a really admirable kind of position to be in and whatnot as well. And it's totally, I can appreciate it's totally not from an ego place. It's purely because when you do so much work, it's like everything, you can't kind of give or be fully present of yourself without kind of doing the work and accepting and kind of going within to yourself and kind of owning and being happy and confident, of who you are, flaws and all, because nobody is perfect and everyone has kind of different stories or patterns and, limits that they put on themselves and repeat. But again, I find sometimes it's about kind of going in there, doing the work with a sense of compassion as well for ourselves, because, sometimes the self-talk people can have to themselves, you would never utter words like that to someone else. So, even the idea of, this podcast, and I'd see like in your work as well, it's about kind of helping people to get more confident within themselves at the end of the day, more assured, because I know even sometimes, people may say a comment or whatnot, and honestly, like that, it wouldn't bother me. I'm like, okay, everyone has free will, they're entitled to their choice. If I know I'm acting from my integrity and my truth, it doesn't faze me. And people kind of think, oh, how do you do that? And how do you get to that place? But like you're saying, it's the process that you go through. But I suppose, was there anything in particular that helped you to start kind of tuning in to kind of build up that self-awareness and that, self-confidence in a sense, like, was it yoga, meditation, angels, walking in nature? Like, was there anything in particular that kind of really started making you connect to you and listen more to you? Because we all have those whispers and intuition and gut feelings. But most of the time we don't listen to them. But with practice, we tune in more and more, and the more we tune in and kind of trust, the more we see, okay, maybe it's not so bad if I follow this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, as you can imagine, over the years, I have tried a whole range of different things. And, every single thing has helped me along my journey. But I mean, I guess some of the things that I have used consistently and I still use
Yeah.
today, I'm a big journaler. I love doing my journal. And in there, I'm doing things like sitting down and reflecting and thinking about what's happened, how I feel, what's going on, what's coming up for me. So I ask myself a lot of searching questions in my journal. I mean, I love, yes, meditation. That's a definite. That's been with me for many, many years. And I don't necessarily subscribe to one thing. I'm very much a person that says, whatever works for you and your situation, your life and who you are, go for it. So, just having that, just being able to get into a meditative state, which is quiet, and that stillness, I think is really helpful. Definitely walking. I love walking. I mean, we live near some fields, and I go there sort of most days. I'm in nature, and I love the countryside. I just love nature.
Nature is powerful.
Oh, very powerful. I'm very, very drawn to fields and trees and all of that. So I just love that. The other thing that's been a really big thing for me, especially in recent years, is getting this two-way communication going with, and whatever you want to call it, Karen. I know we've said a few words, but it's that part of yourself, whether you call it your soul, your inner wisdom, or your higher self. It's that part of you that resides in that bigger one power, whether it's one conscious or God of the universe. And it's getting that two-way communication going. So not just sitting there in meditation waiting for some inspiration. It is treating that energy, the angels and guides, whatever you want to call it, as like a team member, so a partner in crime, someone that you can go to. And now my relationship with that energy, with that higher force, is getting it's just beautiful. I love it. I mean, even for just your everyday stuff, I go to that energy. And I was looking for a car a while back, and I said, right, I need a car, this is what I need, and I'm having conversations with this energy, and they're telling me exactly the time that I should look on the internet at this garage for the right car at the right price, it's beautiful. So getting the two-way energy and communication going, it is just brilliant. I mean, definitely healing. I'm always I do self-healing. Again, it doesn't really matter what you do as long as it works for you. I go to a range of different healers, and as I evolve and as I change, my healers change as well. So at the minute I'm using some shamanic healing and some energy healers I go to help clear stuff. I mean, I read a lot of uplifting, inspiring books. I do some Pilates. I eat quite well. I still cheat, I still like my chocolate and a glass of wine and things, but
that's all right, we have to live.
But I do, I am very aware of what goes into my body and the sort of clean stuff, the non-toxic things. So I guess those types of things are the things that have been with me consistently and have helped me grow and develop.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And definitely I can say each of those have, played a part for me as well. And I love the fact as well, like, people often ask me as well, they're like, oh, and what should I do? And this, that, and the other. And I'm like, I don't have the answers for you. Exactly like you're saying, it's like, it's your own journey. Something I may love, you may hate. And it's not for me to say, do this, this, and this. But generally there's usual, I get loads from journaling as well, meditation, walking. And again, it's not that they click into place often as well. straight off. I know for me as well, they took time where I'm like, oh, is this really worth it? And, you know, it takes a bit of time to kind of often reap the benefits as well. So, and again, you know, it's just about, I say to everyone, even, you know, using the word curiosity in the podcast title as well, it's like, it's about getting really, really curious about yourself. It's all about yourself, not what your neighbour's at, not what someone else is doing. It's about getting really curious about yourself, what's showing up for you, and honouring and acknowledging how you're feeling and or how you're not feeling, you know, just being present kind of with yourself and just starting to build on that. And often the most simplest things, people think, oh, sure, it's simple, but it doesn't mean it's easy. And they often think, you know, oh, it's too simple. It needs to be more complex or difficult or cost loads of money, which, you know, often it doesn't. It starts with the really small steps. And I know for me anyway as well, like, honestly, once you start exploring and just getting really, really curious like that about yourself and these different modalities and things out there, like that, they're powerful, and they do open up a different awareness and a different vibration. And like you're saying as well about, you know, you go through different healing therapies and people as well along your path. I absolutely, you kind of, and I remember months ago, I wrote a blog post about up-leveling. I just felt like, you know, I feel like at times I'm at this peak going, wow, this is amazing. It's all kind of, I get it. And you think you're kind of there, and next thing, this whole other level opens up.
I know.
When new people come along, new modalities I'd never heard about. And it's like, wow. But again, it's all given to you by the universe, you know, when you have that two-way communication.
Absolutely. I mean, because we're forever expanding. This is the incredible, amazing thing about who we are and the planet and this journey that we're on, is that there is no end. You know, it's just continually growing and growing. And I've done exactly the same thing. I've had experiences where I think, oh my word, I mean, this has just blown my mind. This is just, if I could stay here. And then I go through some more exploring and growing and developing, and I go up a level, and I think, oh my God, it can't get it. And it does. And it goes. And you know, once you're on this path, it actually, I think in some sense, it can be a bit addictive, because you think, oh my gosh, what else am I going to discover? Where else am I going to go, you know, to this next level and the next level and the next level. And each level and each step and each stage you get to is just so much bigger and brighter and more incredible and more amazing than the last one. And I love it. I mean, it's actually the last few years I've been jumping up levels like there's no tomorrow. You know, it's just jump. And I personally find, from working with people and on the courses and the one-to-one work I do, this is what's happening, not just to us, but to so many people. It's happening. The expansion, the growth, the evolving is getting quicker and quicker and quicker. To the points that we've been talking about here, where we say it doesn't really matter what it is, and it doesn't have to be perfect. You just go for it, because, you know, if you try and spend a long time on something, you try and perfect it, you try and you know, you don't need to. The world's moved on. So it's just getting faster and faster and faster. And what I'm finding personally is that, whereas in the past, if I think about some of the healing modalities, you might have spent a couple of sessions with someone clearing something. Now they are able to, and we are able to clear it instantly. You know, I work with some healers that are, you know, where I'm the client and then they're the healers. And I also have the other opposite relationship where I'm helping people to grow and develop. And sometimes they can get things so quickly, and we're moving through the levels and layers quicker and quicker and quicker. In one session, what may have taken 6 months to clear a few years back, we're doing in minutes.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you're clearing something, you're on to the next thing, you're up a level, you've changed your energy, you've changed your vibration, and off you go. So it's a very exciting time, but it is getting very, very quick, all of this opening up and this, you know, what we can do. It's just, you know, the downloads are coming quicker, everything's quicker. It's incredible.
It's fascinating. And, you know, even as well, I suppose there's just so many more conversations happening as well. And, you know, with the internet as well, I know for me, before the internet came along, like books were my thing. I was stuck in books, and that's where I got my information. And that's where I was like, oh, wow, you know, this makes sense. I'm not kind of the odd one out or the black sheep. There's other people in the world like me, but I found them in books before the internet. But I suppose now there's just so much more out there between, you know, YouTube. It's a fascinating tool. All like iTunes, podcasts, like the resources, even on Facebook, and kind of all the material that's available out there. Again, it's our choice of how much time and how much we delve into it, because for everybody, no doubt about it, technology has the potential to take all of our time. But that's when now more than ever we need these conversations to raise our consciousness within ourselves, to take back our control. So we're using our time, you know, for things that serve us, as opposed to just, you know, distractions and kind of robbing us of our time, which is the only thing we have at the end of the day. But yeah, like you say, it's just a fascinating journey, and all the things that show up. And even I was in South America, not last year now, the year before, just like that kind of came to my knees in my job as well, going, I can't do this anymore. This is sucking the soul out of me. If this is all there is, I'd just rather go backpack for the rest of my life, and just kind of quit my job and took off. But came across so many shamanic tools and medicines and, you know, herbs and all these kind of things as well. So fantastic that you've come across some of the shamanic work now as well. But again, and even like that, the start of this year, like I felt like I just came out of a washing machine or something. I felt like I'd been on this massive journey and come across all these different kind of modalities and energy work and healings. And it was great, like high and low and good and bad. But now I feel like I'm just right at the start. I'm like, oh my God, I actually know nothing. Even with all I've done, I'm like, wow. And I know you've spoken about it in some of your weekly tarot readings that there's just, I felt anyway, there's been a massive energy shift. Like I just felt like, I just felt like I just kind of landed or something. And, you know, it's all just starting, or there's just so much. And I think that's part of it as well. If we're always curious and always a student and always willing to grow and learn and explore kind of what's showing up for us, because there is a higher force at play. You know, it's not just us here in this physical body. We're so much bigger. And yeah, there's just so much going on. But just want to talk to you a little bit about, you know, your YouTube is obviously how I came across you, and it's huge. So do you want to explain a little bit about that, and maybe some other things that you're working on as well?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I mean, the YouTube was the interesting thing, because I mean, my first tarot readings went on there. It was the 1st of August 2016. That was when I put my very first videos up there for the tarot readings specifically. But I did
not to cut you off, was that where you went to YouTube straight away, or had you been doing anything online before that, or you just had kind of the message or the idea to just go straight for YouTube?
Yeah, I went straight on. I mean, bearing in mind I had been ignoring the YouTube online tarot readings for a number of years, so that was what they were always giving me, not just readings, but they were giving me tarot readings on YouTube, and I was just ignoring. So it did take a few years, but in the end, I got my first videos up. On the 1st of August 2016, and I did open my my YouTube channel, a few months before that, interestingly, I put some videos up there that were all about the spiritual and healing, holistic stuff, and got zero response. You know, no, no views, no subscribers, nothing.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting how sometimes you have to just adjust, or you know, or I should have just listened to them, really, because I was still doing my no, I don't think it's tarot thing. But the readings went up, and I had an absolutely incredible response. It's just really blown me away. With the response, the opportunities that have come through, the kind of subscribers and everything. It's just been incredible. And from that, I could quite easily see that how I could help people more. So, I mean, I've offered sort of one-to-one coaching sessions for people, but and I was doing one-to-one readings, but I was just getting so inundated because obviously YouTube is a worldwide audience you're marketing to, and I just couldn't cope with the number of requests I was getting for private readings and private. Yeah, I mean,
the abundance of the universe just show to us and to everyone that actually, when you do trust and go for it, and although I'm sure you had absolutely no idea what was going to happen, how it was going to go, but just by trusting and showing up and doing and following your message that you were given for years, then it just flows.
It just went. I mean, it really did. And I was, and I keep having to, I mean, even if you look on my website, I've still got, you know, I'm not taking on any more coaching people because I've got too much. So, I mean, it's incredible. And then
too much work you love. There's not many people with that complaint.
I know.
But it just goes to show.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? And then I sort of, as people were saying, well, how do you're reading tarot differently, Estelle? How are you doing it? Why are you doing it differently to everyone else? And I thought, well, I'll teach people. So I've done a couple of tarot online courses. And that was another prime example of letting go and allowing the universe to do its thing. The first course I launched, they were in, where are we, 27? Yeah, the first one was, I think, 2017 or, no, 2018. I forget what years we're in. 2018. Yeah, so the first course was at the beginning of the year, and I thought, well, I don't know how many people are going to sign up. I was kind of talking to the angels and guides and the universe, saying 6 might be nice, perhaps 10, maybe even 12, maybe around there. That will be great. In the end, I said, what are you doing, Estelle? You're doing it again. You're trying to control. You're trying to manage. You're trying to force your own will or expectation or whatever it is, or your goals or your parameters or your limitations on the universe. So I said, you know what? I'll hand the numbers are over to you. You know what I'm capable of. You know what I can do. You know who needs to come on this course. Over to you, totally and completely, universe. You give me the numbers that are right. And I ended up with 60 people on the course. So
fantastic.
It was incredible. But
again, the power of letting go and just getting out of our own way and our thinking mind, because you know our mind is powerful, but it is a survival mechanism. Like it does not comprehend and cannot even imagine what the universe can give to us, and you know what is available to us. So yeah, definitely. And I myself am the same. Just need to, but at least, like you mentioned there, you know, you became aware. You caught yourself thinking, okay, I'd like 10, I'd like 12. And next thing you caught yourself and going, okay, no, you know what I'm capable, I hand it over. And I think that's the power as well of kind of tuning into yourself. You know, we all fall off and we fall back into the kind of thinking mind, the automatic programming, but it's that awareness that you can recognize it much quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, of course. I mean, because still things happen to me. I'm still doing it. You still... that human side of you that wants to try and control things and plan things. And expect a certain, outcome and all of these things that we put on it. But I'm getting better. I'm definitely getting better. But I mean that. Yeah, so those are the sorts of things that I've been doing, but it is changing for me because I've had different uplifts, a bit like yourself, a bit like many people, and I know that my work is going to go now beyond the tarot to sort of help people to how to uplift their energy, how to raise their vibration, raise their consciousness. I get a lot of people telling me, "Oh, this is great, this is incredible, but how do I do it? What can I do practically that will enable me or start me on that path or journey?" So that's where I'm going next. I mean, I'm starting with a Facebook community where I can, which is opening in a couple of days, where I can go a bit deeper than my weekly readings. It's almost like taking the weekly readings and just going a little bit more deeper, exploring some of the how-tos that are around it, some of my own experiences. And then I think I'll probably be doing, I mean, look, I'm doing it again already.
Yeah. I'm asking you the question, but we don't actually know.
In my mind, I'm sort of thinking that there might be some online courses, there might be workshops and retreats, but do you know what? Who knows? I'm just waiting for my next instruction from the universe. Your
instruction, exactly. And I think like that, once you are tuned in, you have those feelings, those inklings, and I think often they're right, but they may not manifest. The how we often don't know. They may not manifest exactly how we think they will. So that's the part as well that we just need to kind of sit back and enjoy. Well, that sounds very exciting. And honestly, I could just keep talking forever. And I'll definitely be joining your Facebook community as well. Because, like that. And again, I have no idea how I even came across your video. It's not that I was big into tarot or anything at the time or looking for something specifically. But again, I totally trust when things show up. And it must have been something in the title or that caught my eye. And I listened, and just like that, instantly, I just knew. I kind of knew I got you. I don't know. I got your vibe or your energy, and your messages were just kind of so on point as well. That literally I've been connecting in each week, and they have been so powerful for me and so helpful in what I was going through as well in the last few months of last year and everything, that I just felt were like, crazy. So it's about that thing of people just looking out as well. Like there is so much support and kind of different people to connect in with out there as well. So if people, one question for you, because I'm really curious as well. Obviously you're highly intuitive and get downloads and messages. Do you find, are you like constantly all day every day kind of getting messages? Can you if you're in a situation, or if you're talking to someone in a supermarket or something, do you often get messages, or you've kind of trained yourself now that it's when you switch in per se, or meditate or journal, that you really allow them to filter through, or are they just kind of happening all the time?
Well, you can adjust it and you can control it. And that's what I do. So most of the downloads I get are when I'm doing things like my walking in the countryside and meditating and journaling, most of them. Or, when I'm doing a reading, when I'm in a one-to-one session with someone, mostly that happens. But there are occasions, if it's really important and they want to get something through, then I can be. And I have had this, in the supermarket. And so I mean, I was working with this energy, this, whether you want to call them light beings or group of angels, and I was very early morning in the supermarket, and they showed up and started talking about what I was doing, and I was thinking, please go away. So it does happen occasionally, but on the whole, you can manage it, and you can say that this. You put your boundaries up, I guess. It's like life. You have your boundaries with people and situations. You do the same thing with the universe, the energy, the angels and guides.
Yeah, and boundaries, I think, is such a powerful word you've just used there as well. That's a whole other conversation. I think people now more than ever as well are afraid to have boundaries for themselves. You know, they think because we have this mobile phone, we need to be connected 24/7 and we have to reply to every email and text message and everything instantly. And again, that's just kind of getting us all frazzled. So again, it's trying to create that awareness and consciousness to be like, okay, breathe and just create a little distance. And it's okay if I don't reply. Because, you know, because I remember I was talking to a friend about this before and she just thought it was like beyond crazy that I could even comprehend about, you know, setting boundaries or that she could set boundaries for herself. And I was like, well, at the end of the day, I'm like, people actually respect boundaries. I'm like, if you don't have them there in the first place, you'll never know. But actually people grow to respect your boundaries, but you need to have them there in the first place.
Absolutely.
It's the same with the universe at times, the download.
Yeah, absolutely. But that reminds me of I think it was a Dr. Phil quote where he says, you teach people how to treat you.
Yes.
So it's, you know, it's absolutely, and that's what I
And it boils down to how we treat ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's absolutely vital and I think as you grow and expand, you do start to become protective of yourself and who you are and what's important and what is okay and what isn't okay. You know, we all have the right to ask something, but we can say no. So no, I'm very strong on boundaries.
And again, it's like you're saying, like there's no problem with boundaries and saying no. Like it doesn't have to be a no, you're crazy, get out of my face, not in a million years. We can still say no with respect and compassion and love.
Yes.
And, you know, and it's a completely different ball game. Whereas I think sometimes, you know, there's just such a negative connotation around no that it has to be said in a really kind of authoritative or shut down kind of way. Whereas I'm like, it can mean the same, but you can still say it in a nice way.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So before we go, any last parting words or any messages coming through or anything, you know, to leave with any listeners or that for those people who may be starting to kind of get curious about their own path or their own kind of inner whisperings?
Yeah, wow. I mean, it's hard to sum up just one, but I guess the first thing, Karen, is about, like we've said it, but I suppose it's summarizing, it's just understanding yourself, getting to know you and what's inside of you, you know, like your gifts, your uniqueness, what you're passionate about, what you love. And because in those things, that's where you're going to find your deepest joy, your happiest moments, your successful business. It's in the things that you absolutely love and the things that make you you. So I think that's absolutely critical as a first step. And, you know, I know it's hard, but it's about learning to trust the universe, learning that they can, like we've said, they can give you, the universe, this beautiful energy that creates worlds, can give you so much more than you could ever imagine or ever like think possible. So, you know, just learning to work with that. And it's everything's everything's you see, they're building up the energy, you know. If you listen to my readings, they do that sometimes. I get a build up of energy, and it's always coming through in the throat, which isn't helpful. So I end up choking. But
you don't want to choke, but spit it out.
But get it out. But also the realizing that things are an inside job. That we're made of energy. The universe is energy. Our environment is energy, and everything. So you need to be careful of your energy. So whatever is going on in your energy field, whether that's a thought, a feeling, an idea, a pattern, a memory, a painful wound, whatever it is, whatever is active there, that's what you're going to be drawing to you. So if you have a life or a situation that isn't working for you and you want to change it, you don't start outside necessarily. You start inside by thinking about, what's going on for me? What am I feeling? What am I thinking? Where's that coming from? Yes, of course, go outside to get help and assistance and support, but it's very much an inside job. Absolutely. And I found that a lot with all of my readings, my YouTube channel, because I've had various different things happen along the way, along the path, things, obstacles and stuff.
Yeah,
and
that's life.
That's
life.
Absolutely. But it's interesting. I have a different view now. Whereas before I used to look outside for solutions, I now turn inwards. Yeah. And say, what is it in me, my life, my thinking, my feelings, my energy that has brought that to me, or, and how can I, and it's incredible how if you start to clear it on the inside and you clear it with you, how sometimes it can just clear and it can solve itself. I've had some incredible situations where it's an issue, it's a problem with another person, and rather than turn outward to that person, I've actually dealt with it on an energetic level, and it's cleared it. And I've been so surprised, and I've sort of said to the universe and the energies that creates world, my word, I would never have been able to get that result from me just turning outward to that person to try and resolve that issue. It's just, so it's an inside job all the way.
Completely. And even I wrote a journal there over the last couple of weeks at the start of the year, like that, when I just felt like all my walls came down. And, the last kind of piece of the puzzle that I had to kind of shine a light on and unlock to, embrace and kind of be my true self. But the message that came to me so strongly that I put down as well was like, the way out is to go within.
Yes.
That was the solution all along. So that's something that's stuck with me since as well. And like you say as well, it's about honoring each of our journeys where we're at. Our journey is our journey. No matter if it's good or bad, what you want, what you don't want, there is a reason. There's always a higher force at play. And once we like that explore and kind of go within and see, why is this showing up? Or, like you're saying, why is this happening to me? Is it something in me I need to change or look at, or, kind of things? It's magical, the possibilities that open up.
It truly is.
Well, Estelle, it's been such a pleasure. I honestly can't believe we're almost at an hour. I thought we'd keep it kind of short and sweet, but I've just enjoyed talking to you so much. If people want to look you up, where should they go?
Well, my website is iamestelle.com.
Perfect. And I'll add notes as well and give the links. And hopefully, there people will be able to go to link to your YouTube or when you start your Facebook group and keep updated on all the wonderful things that you will be sharing with the world, no doubt, and different course that you'll be coming up with. So I wish you every best wish. And I hope we may connect in again at some stage. And like that, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, Estelle.
Thank you so much, Karen. It's been a deep, deep joy.
For show notes and links, go to www.karenmaloney-wellbeing.com. And if you like this episode, please hit like, subscribe, and share.